Here we are a couple turns into the game, and we are going to basically just show you the turn breakdown and just sort of how to play the game, basically.
Yeah, we'll play a couple cards. We'll do a back and forth. Exactly, pretty much how you're going to play the game with your friends. Bobby and I are just doing this one-on-one. Typically, in a full game, you will have the 4 players, but this will at least give you an idea of how to play Dark Lord.
Sure. It should give you a good clue into the different types of cards, the different resources, and how to manage your resources effectively. So
yeah.
Okay. So here we have our basic demons and our basic minions. And in classic RPG game style, red equals blood, blue equals mana.
That's right. That's right. And in addition to that, we do have our cards in our hand. I'm not too shy to just show it off like this. Bobby already knows what I have for the demonstration, but that's all right. Usually your opponents won't see. And yeah, like you just said, we kind of have everything set up. I do have my Lord piece right here.
So yeah, each player will pick a Lord. So here you have the Lord card that tells you what his name, what his class, and what his skill is. I'm playing as King Vox the Mad, and this is the piece that denotes him.
Yeah, and I have Meredith the Spider. She's amazing. She's a blood mage, and she is currently right here on this tile. Strategically placed so I can, kick some ass with her.
So then, in each as you'll notice, there are 4 quadrants on the board. So basically, each player starts out in one of these 4 areas. So you'll notice that both of us have started encroaching on the areas next to us. I have my Lord currently placed on my keep. That's what these are. Each of these 4 tiles is the keep. This is probably the most important resource tile in the game.
Sure. And now, just to point out, now I chose the green area, the forest area of the map, and I happen to be a spider, so that's a good coincidence that spiders are part of the forest area. But really, you can choose whatever you want. I could be a spider, I could be Meredith inside the frozen keep, or the dark keep. It doesn't necessarily matter.
Actually, speaking of coincidence, this actually is supposed to be the area that King Vox once ruled
over
when he was alive. So that's weird.
So good. So we're doing well already. Okay, so this is my draw pile. This is where I will draw my cards at the end of my turn and fill my hand. This is my discard pile, cards that I already used. We have the units that I have not put on the board yet. Got my blood, got my mana, got my character card, and my hand. And in addition to that, I do have my dice, but I'm just going to keep those right over here. And with all that information aside, I will begin my turn.
So at the beginning of every player's turn, you go about collecting your resources, and then map will show you specifically what each resource tile draws you.
Sure. So starting my turn, right off the bat, I'll gather my resources. If you have a unit, such as this guy on this village, if you have 1 unit of any kind, doesn't matter how many units, you control that resource. So just for that, if you'll pass me the blood, I will calculate, how many villages I have. I happen to have 1, 2, and that's about it. So I get 2 blood.
Also, don't
and
forget your keep.
Oh yeah, and I can't forget the keep. Keep does allot you 1 blood. In addition to what's next will be the mana. 2 mana per mana pool. However, the keep counts as enough for 4 mana. So that gives me 4. 2 mana for this guy, this one, and this one, and this one.
So how it works is, as long as you have a unit on a resource tile at the beginning of your turn, then you will draw that resource for that turn. So for instance, like Matt is doing right now, he's drawing 2 mana for this mana pool, 2 mana for this mana pool, 2 for this, and 2 for that. So he gets to draw a total of 8 mana plus the 4 that he got from his keep. So the resources, yeah, like you said, as you spread out more, it really ramps up.
That's right. And so in addition to that, I have my blood, my mana. Now I get to place minions out on the field. I have some graveyards here that I currently control, and graveyards are really nice because they allow me to summon 2 minions on that tile per turn. So quickly getting an army built up over here. And in addition to that, my keep also grants me 1 demon. This is all written down in the game manual. It's very easy. Once you go through the first turn, you'll get through it, and it's pretty easy to memorize after that. And I happen to have a Hell Rift up here, which I will place 1 demon on as well.
And yeah, these are the only 4 Hell Rifts in the game, so these are basically the only demon-producing tiles aside from the keeps. Yeah. So these are pretty important. You also notice that they are at the center of the map, which means they're a source of contention.
Sure.
The only difference between the different unit types, practically, is which dice they roll in combat. When we have our minions in combat, they will roll a 6-sided dice. Now, the demons, they're a bit stronger, so they roll an 8-sided dice. So there's a slight combat advantage when they face off against one another. Now, the lords, and a different kind of unit called shadow lords, the lords roll the 12-sided dice, so they are by far the most powerful units in the game.
Okay, so the action phase of my turn has just begun right after my upkeep phase. And that is composed of me looking at the cards in my hand, kind of assessing the situation, my situation on the board, kind of where I want to put my units from here on out, and basically just make a mess of his stuff, essentially, by doing whatever I can, trying to utilize my turn as much as possible before he gets to utilize his turn. And kind of screw me over.
So the action phase is when you play cards and move your units around, and combat happens, and that's really the meat of the game. So
yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and start playing some cards here. I like my situation, but before I do anything, I really want to utilize my cards before I start moving my units into his territory. So right off the bat, I've got some cards. I've got 2 summon cards that let me summon units in addition to, controlling tiles that allow me to summon at the beginning of my turn. I have some cards that allow my lord to actually destroy enemy creatures that's around it, and I have some other kind of cool utility cards. Alright, so I'm going to start by playing Regeneration. Gain 2 blood if you do not take damage before your next turn. Gain an additional 2 blood. So playing that, I just declare I'm saying that. That goes in my discard pile. And I will go ahead and grab 2 blood from that. Add it to my blood pool.
Make sure you pay your 2 mana. So you'll notice that on the card, there's a little orb down at the bottom. The blue orb represents a mana cost, and then the red orb represents a blood cost.
Alright, so now that that's taken care of, I got some more blood in exchange for some mana. I'm going to go ahead and use a summon card. It is Winged Beast. Summon 1 demon up to 4 tiles from your lord. Destroy up to 2 minions on that tile. So my lord currently is right here. I can count 1, 2, 3, and 4. Play that. I have to pay the 3 mana cost in order to play that card. And that allows me to summon 1 demon right here.
And then, since my minions are destroyed, I just pull them off the board.
And that's that.
And now, once 2 opposing units occupy the same tile, that's when combat happens. So, I will roll my 6-sided die because I only have a minion.
And I will roll my 8-sided die, slightly better because I have a demon on the tile.
Right.
And basically what happens is I roll the 3, he rolled a 5. Now, statistically I should have won that, but that's quite alright. So, and that's flat out it. Right. They battled, my demon has been destroyed. So, he's done. Alright, so those are the cards I'm going to play this turn. These other cards aren't too valuable right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of play it safe. I'm going to move some of my units on the board. I think I'll maybe use move 1, 2, and that costs me my 2 mana. Every time you move some units on the board, you have to pay their costs, including your lord. And I'm gonna go
So basically, all of your creatures, your minions and your demons, and your shadow lords, your creatures, move with mana. So if like Matt moved here and then here, so that costs 1 mana, 2 mana per space. Now, if he wanted to move his lord, for instance, he would go. The lords move with blood, but the first space per turn is always free. So this would be, you know, for example, free, 1 blood, 2 blood, 3 blood.
That's right.
Etc.
So I'm actually gonna keep my lord where he's at, or she's at. I like her in that right there for now. So I'm going to move 2 of my minions. 1, 2. You can move units individually or in groups for the same amount of mana. So there's my 2 mana for that move. I guess I'll just go ahead and put 1, 2. Move my minion in there and try to knock out his demons, just because I have an excess amount of minions over here. Okay,
so now, you know, I'm using demons, and you can go basically in whatever, you can roll in whatever order you choose. Like if it were like this, I could choose to roll the 6 first or the 8 first, it doesn't really matter, but whatever, like if I were to roll the 6 and lose, then my minion goes. So,
sure.
So we're gonna roll. I rolled a 1.
I rolled a 3, so my minion just happened to destroy the hell out of that demon. Going for round 2 to try to, yeah.
So in between rolls, I would have, if I had cards that I could use, I would have the opportunity to respond after 1 battle has taken place, but I don't, so at this point we just roll again.
Sure. 5, and okay. I got a 6.
So you take my village.
My minion just happens to be victorious. That's
twice.
It's pretty good. So, and we do have some house rules, but we don't want to include those. One house rule that we like to play is when a minion destroys up to 3 creatures, we just turn it into a demon.
It levels up. So
it levels up, so it's sort of a fun thing. That won't be necessarily with the default game, but you know, we encourage players to, you know, really experience Dark Lord and kind of come up with their fun house rules of their own. So we've had a lot of fun doing that. So this guy's chilling here. This is a village, so that does give me 1 extra blood at the beginning of my next turn if he does stay on this tile. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and end my turn because I like my position, and we'll see what he has in store. End my turn, and I currently have 3 cards in hand. Your maximum hand size by default is 5, so I draw up to that 5. Got some pretty decent cards for the future turn. And with that is my end turn phase. So now it's automatically his turn.
Okay, so Matt walked you through the upkeep phase, so I'll just go about mine.
So he is bulking up with his mana. He can pretty much play any card he chooses this turn. That's kind of scary for me.
Well, it also means I can move my units around almost pretty much wherever I want them to go.
Sure.
Right up to your keep.
And now the strategy is if I greatly dislike him getting all this mana, I can kind of invade his territory, kill off his units on his mana pools.
A lot of the meta game, so to speak, is about sort of looking at, like, Matt as a blood mage. What would be a good strategy for me in the long game would be to find a way to get rid of his villages, you know what I mean? Because villages grant blood, and as a blood mage, that's going to be his most important resource.
Sure.
So that's just an example of the various complexities within Dark Lord. So I look at, wait, I still have to collect my blood. How about that?
Oh,
I don't get that one because you're mean. 1, 2, and 3. I get 4. I get 4 blood. So I guess the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to drop a meteor all over this graveyard. So I will play meteor. It's a Lord spell. So Matt did this a bit during his turn with the Winged Beast, but sure. Lord spells, all of them, if it says Lord spell, that means that A, your Lord has to be alive and on the board somewhere. Yep. And B, most of them have tile restrictions, which means that this spell says destroy all creatures on a tile up to 5 tiles away. Lords on the tile take 5 damage. If the tile is a graveyard or village, destroy it. So this is a pretty effective card. It can wipe out anything on any tile, basically. So I think...
So long as you have a Lord on the
right.
map, like you said. If you
right.
don't have it, then
this card is useless.
This card is useless. You can't play it. You could burn it if you choose. But
so I count spaces from my Lord. This is a mistake. This is 1 tile, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I could do it here and get rid of all these demons, but I'd rather get rid of his graveyard, because that will kind of cripple him in the long term a little bit. So, I play the card, and it costs 6 mana.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6.
So, now he's playing that card. We kind of already planned this out for you guys, but... I just happen to have a card in my hand. It's a defense card. Defense cards can be used nearly any time, so long as you meet the requirements that
the card specifies.
This card specifies. So Nullify just happens to be a defense utility card. It says prevent the effects of an enemy card or destroy an enemy aura. Hellfire cards are unaffected. Okay. So basically, for 2 mana, playing this card right now, as he played that card, it just prevents the effects of that card from happening.
Right.
So his meteor, he paid for it. It's happening now, and now it's not happening because I played this.
Okay.
So that goes in my discard. I do lose my 2 mana, so I only have 2 mana left until next turn.
2 mana did save your graveyard, so that
it saved my graveyard. So my minions are still chilling right here. They're quite happy with that
not
scenario. Not getting meteored. And my graveyard is safe to summon 2 more minions at the beginning of my next turn.
So, if at any point during your turn you have a card that you don't necessarily want, or you don't really have a use for, you can do what's called burning it. So, essentially what you would do, and I'm not going to do this because this card is too good, but what you do is you just discard the card, say you're going to burn that card, and then take 2 mana per card. And you can do that with all of your cards. And especially if you've got cards that you don't really have a use for right now, it's a really good way to cycle through your deck really rapidly.
Sure.
So
now, and in addition to that, like we were saying with the meteor, if you don't have a Lord on the map, you got a worthless card chilling in your hand. At least you can burn it for 2 mana and kind of take that hit. Well, or you could save it.
That comes into the fundamental philosophy differences that you and I have. See, even if my Lord is dead and I can't use Meteor right now, I will hold that card forever and ever until I find the perfect moment to use it. You know?
And I'm the complete opposite side of that coin.
Right.
I will burn it immediately.
So I can't get to that graveyard with a card, clearly, because he just nullified it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and move my units in and try and take over some of his space. So first thing I'll do is I'll move my Lord right here, and that's free because it's the first one of this turn. Then I'm going to cast what are special cards. I'm going to cast a card that is kind of a special card called an Aura. It's called Unholy Presence, which Aura cards are permanent until you decide to discard it, and you can only have 1 active at a time. So if I were to play another Aura after this, I would have to get rid of this one.
Sure.
So Auras are permanent for the duration of the game, basically. So I'm going to play Unholy Presence. It says your minions within 2 tiles of your Lord again have +2 attack, and that costs 7 mana, which is really good for a permanent card. So
yeah, it is.
So, and then now that that's active, I'm just going to set it right here so that it's out, and to remind everyone and myself.
So again, what does that do?
Your minions, not demons, within 2 tiles have +2 attack.
Damn.
Okay. Now, I'm going to do something, and this really gets to the min-maxing ability of Dark Lord. I'm going to play a card called Enrage. Enrage is a defense spell, which means I could play it on his turn, but I can also play it on my turn. You can play it whenever you want, essentially.
Sure.
It says, your creatures, meaning all my creatures, my minions and my demons, gain +1 attack until the end of this turn. Which means that all my minions within 2 tiles of me have +3 attack, and everything else has +1 attack.
which is ridiculous.
Which is awesome.
And that kind of illustrates the power of the Lich class.
Yeah.
If you really get those cards, get in the same hand, have a really nice board setup, this is what makes winners.